6 p.m. here in Cairo. Time to have a look at the news bulletin from Channel 2. My name is Amal Mukhtar. I have all the pleasure to be accompanied with my colleague Sandra Sulaiman. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Amal. Here is the news bulletin. We're going to start with the headlines. President Abdel el-Sisi reviews the yearly report of the Martyrs Honoring Fund's executive position. President Abdel el-Sisi received General Director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva. Egypt resumes efforts to reach a ceasefire in Gaza and guarantee the entry of humanitarian aid to Palestinians.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now the news in detail. President Abdel el-Sisi today reviewed the yearly report of the Martyrs Honoring Fund over its executive position. The report was handed to the president during his meeting with Fund's chairman. The fund is created to honor martyrs, injured victims and missing in military operations, security operations and terrorist acts, and compensate their families. The meeting also discussed boosting services provided to the beneficiaries of the fund to increase its resources and develop its administration mechanisms. President el-Sisi asserted that Egypt will always remember the great sacrifices of the martyrs and will offer suitable honor to all who have given their lives to their country.
President Abdel el-Sisi received today the General Director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, and the accompanying delegation. The meeting tackled the latest development in the Egyptian economic reform project that is being implemented in partnership with the IMF. President el-Sisi asserted that Egypt is keen to continue cooperation with the fund during the coming period to enhance the economic stability and reduce the inflation rates. El-Sisi stressed the necessity of dealing with the current challenges that Egypt witnessed in the recent period due to regional and international crises that have great repercussions on the foreign currency sources and budget revenues. El-Sisi also confirmed that reducing burdens on citizens is topping the priorities of the state through confronting inflation, price hikes, as well as continuing efforts to attract investments. For her part, the IMF's chief expressed her appreciation of Egypt's efforts during the recent period and the implemented economic reform project.
Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli today held a press conference with the International Monetary Fund chief, Kristalina Georgieva. Madbouli said that the fourth revision of Egypt's economic reform program will start on Tuesday in cooperation with the international lenders work team along with officials at the Central Bank of Egypt and concerned ministries. Georgieva, meanwhile, hailed President Abdel el-Sisi's and Egyptian people's efforts for facing current challenges amid the latest regional and international developments. The IMF chief said that the loan provided by the fund to Egypt was increased from $3 billion to $5 billion to help the country cope with the current regional conditions.
Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli has earlier held talks with the General Director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, on a number of files of mutual concern, economic stability in Egypt and decreasing inflation rates. The meeting was attended by Governor of Egypt's Central Bank, Hassan Abdullah, and a number of ministers and senior officials. Fitch Rating Agency had upgraded Egypt's long-term foreign currency issue default rating from B to B with a stable future outlook. Fitch attributed this upgrade to a decrease in foreign risks and adjustment in monetary and fiscal policies, an increase in international reserves, and a recovery in the net foreign assessed status.
General Commander of the Armed Forces, Minister of Defense and Military Production, Lieutenant General Abdelmajid Sakr, inspected the camp of preparing and training combatants of the 2nd Field Army in North Sinai in the line with the most advanced programs to reach the highest degree of efficiency. This came within the framework of the Armed Forces leadership's keenness to follow up on the formations of the Armed Forces units.
Welcome back. Egyptian senior security sources said that Cairo had resumed efforts to reach a ceasefire in Gaza and guarantee the entry of humanitarian aid to the occupied Palestinian enclave. The sources added that leaders from the Palestinian Hamas and the Fatah factions met in Cairo to discuss forming a committee based on a proposal put forward by Egypt. The committee would be made up of independent Palestinian figures not aligned to a particular movement, addressing the question of who would run Gaza after the Israeli genocide war was over. The sources stressed that the meetings were a Palestinian affair and that the Egyptian efforts aimed to only unify the Palestinian factions and end the suffering of the Palestinian people. Meanwhile, Hamas dismissed proposals of limited or temporary truces, highlighting that they were positively open to any proposals or ideas that ensure the cessation of the Israeli aggression and the withdrawal of the Israeli occupation forces from Gaza.
Israeli forces stepped up bombardment of the Gaza Strip today, killing at least 23 people. Medics said at least 13 Palestinians were killed in separate attacks on houses in Beit Lahia town and Jabalia, the largest of the enclave's 8 historic refugee camps and the focus of occupation army's new genocide war. The rest were killed in separate Israeli airstrikes in Gaza City and the southern areas. The Gaza Health Ministry said Israel's military offensive in northern Gaza was stopping them from vaccinating thousands of children in Jabalia, Beit Lahia and Beit Hanun. It said one clinic came under Israeli fire while parents brought their children for anti-polio dose, where 4 children were injured.
Lebanon's health ministry said 3 people were killed and 9 others wounded in an Israeli strike today on Ahad and a densely populated area near southern city of Sidon. The strike was not preceded by an Israeli evacuation warning. Also on Sunday, an Israeli strike hit the town of Gaza south of Sidon. The war has killed more than 109,030 people in Lebanon since September 23rd.
Lebanese Prime Minister Najib Mikati urged urgent investigation into kidnapping of a Lebanese citizen from the northern coastal city of Batroun. A statement from Prime Minister Office identified the person seized as Ahmad Amhas. It added that Mikati consulted with Lebanese military and UNIFIL officials and called for Foreign Minister Abdullah Abu Habib to file an urgent complaint with the UN Security Council. Earlier, an Israeli naval force mounted a special operation in the northern Lebanese coastal town of Batroun and captured 1 person. An Israeli military official said a senior operative of Hezbollah was apprehended. The official said that operative had been transferred to Israeli territory and was being investigated.
Iran's supreme leader vowed retaliation for attacks by Israel as an Israeli military official confirmed naval commanders seized a suspected Hezbollah operative in a raid in Lebanon. Days before the presidential election in the United States, Israel's main military supplier Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said Iran's response could cover attacks on both the Islamic Republic and its allies. Israel has warned Iran against responding to the October 26th attack.
The United States announced the deployment of additional military assets to the Middle East, including ballistic missile defenses destroyers and long-range B-52 bomber aircraft, serving as a warning to Iran as it and Israel traded tit for tat strikes. The Pentagon said in a statement that deployments would take place in the coming months and demonstrated the flexibility of U.S. military movements around the world. It added that the United States will take every measure necessary to defend its people.
Russia claimed to have captured another Ukrainian village just a dozen kilometers from the key eastern logistics hub Pokrovsk as its troops advance rapidly. The details follow.
Village just a dozen kilometers from the key eastern logistics hub Pokrovsk as its troops advanced rapidly. The Russian Defense Ministry said that it had liberated the settlement of Vishnevy following offensive operations. Russia has been making swift advances in the eastern Donetsk region for weeks, taking dozens of towns and villages. On Saturday, Moscow said that its forces had captured the large village of Korakhivka, close to the industrial town of Korakhove, which Russia is also aiming to capture, and the small village of Pershotravneve in the Kharkiv region, close to the eastern Lugansk region. Capturing Pokrovsk, a key logistics hub for Ukraine that connects several fortresses in the Donbass, is one of Russia's main objectives in the region. It is also home to a major coal mine that is crucial to Ukraine's steel production for its military. Russian troops have advanced to just a few kilometers outside the town. According to an analysis of data from the American Institute for the Study of War, ISW, the Russian army took 478 square kilometers of Ukrainian territory in October. That marks a record since the first weeks of the conflict in March 2022.
Kamala Harris and Donald Trump entered the final weekend of the most tense U.S. presidential campaign of modern times with a flurry of swing state rallies that will test their stamina and ability to persuade the country's last voters. Harris, bidding to become the country's first woman president, will use rallies in Georgia, North Carolina, and Michigan to drive home her message that Trump is a threat to U.S. democracy.
Egypt's stock market closed higher today amid purchases by local corporations and local and foreign investors against sell-offs by Arab and foreign corporations and Arab investors. The market capital of listed companies added 19 billion Egyptian pounds, reaching 2.2 trillion pounds at the end of transactions. The benchmark index EGX30 rose 0.6% above the 30,830 point mark. The equal weighted indices EGX70 and EGX100 inched higher 1.2% and 1% respectively.
Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that Egypt, which has recently joined the BRICS, is a pioneering country and one of the largest and most influential economies in North Africa and the Arab region. Regarding the block payment platforms, Lavrov pointed out that BRICS members have already introduced recommendations on currency substitute payment mechanisms. The Russian top diplomat said that these mechanisms have been listed for discussions during the year-long BRICS, and recommendations as such have been developed but not yet finalized.
The The Egyptian Premier League title holders, الأهلي, began their campaign with a thrilling 5-2 win over their guests, Ceramica Cleopatra. Winger Hussein El Shahat and Palestinian striker Wissam Abu Ali each scored twice, while Tahir Mohammed Tahir sealed the victory for the defending champions. Algerian forwards Ahmed Belhaj and Ahmed Kendouchi scored for Ceramica Cleopatra. The win put the Red Devils on the top of the league standings on 3 points.
Well, with this, we come to the end of the news bulletin from Channel 2. My name is Amal Mukhtar. I was accompanied with my colleague, Sandra Suleiman. Thank you very much, Sandra.
Thank you so much, Amal. Thanks, everyone.